Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the November Comprehensive Astrology. So I will be going through some intuitive messages I'm getting about the month of November, and I'm also going to pull up two charts on the screen and talk about the individual transits astrologically that we will be having in November and get down to some of the detail because, oh my gosh, we have a major flashpoint of a month here in November, major climaxes, major expansion as well. Interesting, a lot of expansion coming in at the soul level, at the even just at the physical level as well. And with that expansion, of course, will come a receding or a reduction elsewhere. So we have a big change in philosophy for a lot of people as we move from Scorpio to Sag season, and very interesting to be entering the month of December as well after November, because I think that it's going to just be a very different feeling and a very different stance for a lot of people coming in. Before we get started, everyone, if you're new, be sure to hit the subscribe button below. If the video resonates, turn on those bell notifications. And also check out the description box below. This channel is on Patreon, where I do premium content, weekly forecasts that are only available over there. Also, my merch line is going to be on discount for the rest of the year because we are moving into holiday season. So be sure to check out some of my awesome hoodies. I have mugs. I have a lot of cool stuff. I will also be hoping to introduce some new merch in the new year. So this current merch line is going to be limited. So if you've wanted to support that or check that out, that's linked below with discount. I also have an ebook called Moon Symbols. It's all below. Okay, so let's talk about November 2022. Okay, so the main thing I've been getting as I was meditating on November is don't get in the way of other people's karma. Okay, so we are moving into the collective 8th house here in November and then moving towards the 9th house. The theme of other people, other people's control over our lives, other people's influence, other people's money, other people, okay, are particularly potent this year. We have eclipses, of course, having happened on October 25th, which I made a video about, and then another one happening on November the 8th, 2022, a very interesting date to be having an eclipse. Of course, this will be a penumbral lunar eclipse happening on the 8th of November. So 2 eclipses in Scorpio season. Of course, we have the South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus. The nodal axis determines when which season eclipses happen in. We also have, Jupiter moving back into Pisces, interesting Pisces stellium energy coming in, which I will go over in the astrology portion of the video. But yeah, it's as we have outer planets on cusps, we have eclipses happening, we have the fallout of the final Saturn-Uranus square that happened in October and is still lingering throughout November. It is going to change everything, okay? And it's such a seismic time of karmic unfolding. So karmic climaxes, long running issues finally reaching a finality, like a brick wall type of finality here. And no longer can they be just vacillating anymore. So what that means to me is that we're going to have a lot of individuals, okay, gaining or experiencing really potent, obvious karma here. So this is not going to be like a symbolic, okay? I mean, the energy is very symbolic, but the karma itself is not going to be in symbolic anymore. This is going to be like physical outcomes, okay? So people finally, experiencing the last chapter, okay, of a certain chain of events in their life. When this is channeling in a positive way, this can be like graduations, promotions, even moving or entering into another apex of your life. However, when this channels in the negative way, this can definitely be like harsh consequences, illnesses, something that changes the entire status of your entire being in a way that we might feel is negative. So it's going to be for the better, whichever way it goes. So I think that November of 2022 is such a gift of time in a way, because it is finishing something. You know, I've been talking on my channel a lot about unfinished business and how the Saturn-Uranus square that stretched from like even beginning of 2021 until now was going to basically slingshot a lot of people into this crazy period of backtracking, unfinished business, grinding to meet a certain deadline or to meet a certain self-expression that they perhaps fell out of before, but did not feel that they could completely leave behind. So that which we felt we could not leave behind, and we might have gone back to find, or we might have actually regressed, okay, with all this fixed energy, right? And that's another thing about this eclipse in Scorpio, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, and then of course the moon eventually being in Leo. We will have a fixed cross in the month of November. It means that you've gone back for something, or that you've regressed and maybe reclaimed something in your life. And again, that's a very positive manifestation, but yes, when we're looking at negative manifestations, for some people, this is like a relapse energy. This is like a falling back into a negative way. And if we're struggling with that, we need to really think about, you know, how can I actually reclaim something in a positive way? How can I move this energy into a more positive expression of itself rather than relapsing into illness, addiction, you know, any type, any type of trait that we consider to be positive on the outside, but can actually be very negative if over applied. So for example, like saving money. Okay, very positive thing to do, but when over applied can become extremely greedy, frugal, and can deprive oneself perhaps of like food or nutrients. Like imagine thinking, you know, I'm not going to eat dinner tonight because I'm saving money. Okay, so we sacrifice our body for like a paper currency. You know, it's like that's one of the ways that this energy can be toxic and extreme. Is you see people with these like once positive traits, like I'm going to save and get ahead, now not allowing themselves meals because of it. Or you see even like another situation, like someone who's like, okay, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to introduce this type of exercise into my life. And now it's like the only exercise that they do, or it's the only thing in that part of their body that it targets the most is like extremely developed, but other parts of the body are not developed in tandem. So it leads to a major imbalance or a major lack of proper energy flow through the body, which could result in illness or injury. So anything like this is going to be very potently visible this month. And these eclipses are going to probably catalyze people to the degree that they want to change that, or they realize that. And that's what I really love about November of 2022. What I'm seeing of it so far is like we can't be blind to reality here. And that's something that I noticed moving up over the last few months. So ever since like September, like when we went into that Mercury retrograde in Virgo, we moved through Libra season, I saw a major crisis in a lot of people in my own life, and then just collectively as well, where it's almost like some people would rather live a lie, or some people would rather not know the truth about something to feel comfortable. So we have this feeling of comfortable illusion or comfortable irreality that is also, what's the right word? It's like really turned on its head here. So we have to come to grips with reality and truth here. And for those of you who are truth seekers, it's a very congratulatory time, because I do feel that you might be empowered, or you might be rewarded if you're interested in the truth rather than in what is comfortable. So truth and comfort are coming up in opposition here this month, as of course, yes, we have Uranus opposing the eclipse energy, the south node, and we'll talk about that in the astrology. I'll look more at the charts, but I'm not sure if that's exact in orb, but to me, the opposition energy is very strong right now, especially in regards to what's comfortable and then what is or is not true. So people who are also not allowing themselves to question their source of information as well. There's a kind of blind following energy, which I have already brought up on this channel, and I saw that really resonated with you all, about how we have people who may know very well that a certain person or a certain source is completely corrupted or completely out of the spectrum of honesty, and nonetheless they still in certain contexts believe them at face value, or believe some of the information that they're getting, and it's totally like off basis, and they already know that it is, but nonetheless they still don't question, or they still don't like actually seek the truth themselves. That's going to be very harsh, okay, during this time. And you might find yourself just like propping up a lie or propping up some type of, also something that's not hard to prove or something that's not even like difficult to know otherwise. But you might be very easy to be on the wrong side of history here, very easy to be on the wrong side of the public record, okay, very easy to be on the wrong side of all that stuff. And then even like having consequences or difficulties, or not in a bad way, but just perhaps even losing reputation, losing face, losing things like that because of that kind of blindness, or because of that blind spot, okay, that a lot of people have here. These two eclipses are kind of like blind spots, kind of like a blindness within the field of view. And then we have to like kind of change our perspective and look at what's been blocked from view here in order to really work with this energy. And for some people, as they suffer some type of difficulty or some type of hardship because of a refusal to like see the truth, or because of a refusal to also think critically, or to also foster critical thinking, or to foster sharpness. This is something that I've been implementing in my own life, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a, I don't know, a little bit of a testimony here. The best thing that I've done, okay, in all of my study and all of my practice here, as someone who's constantly working with the collective, working with healing modalities and self-development, the best thing that I have done over these last 2 years during the Saturn-Uranus square has just been actually learning, okay, studying, and getting very hypothetical. And when I say hypothetical, I mean like forming hypothesis and then supporting that, almost like writing a really good essay, okay, creating that thesis, supporting, backing it up, and sharpening the mind to where the assertions of other people are very clear to either be in a completely delusional territory or to be correct, because the mind is so sharpened and so focused to where it can really tell whether an assertion is supportable or not. So that's been the best thing for me, like hands down, over these last few years, has just been mental sharpness, mental clarity, and trying to forge a lifestyle with good sleeping habits and good dietary habits that support a sharp and functional mind, because there's so much BS out there, there's so much confusion, there's so much marketing, and then also charismatic people talking in certain ways and propping up, you know, mistruths, that it really takes a sharp mind here, okay? And it takes a questioning mind, it takes a inquisitive mind in order to not be drowning in a sea of confusion. And yes, we will likely be having a sea of confusion as Jupiter moves back into Pisces this month, and then with Neptune there. It makes sense that there would be a lot of lies and a lot of lapses in clarity, and even like blind following or blind connection to something that we can't really do easy formula, easy 2 + 2 to understand that it's not on, or it's not really based in reality. So big reality check. I mean, that's another big intuitive message for November, is like major reality check. It's like, wow, I see a lot of people, and this is just a strong intuitive message. I see a lot of people literally taking like 5 minutes to do their own research, or 10 minutes just to like fact check or something, and they can like pop the bubble on like 10 years of delusional thinking, okay? And maybe it's not delusional in themselves. Delusional is a strong word, but I more so want to say like popping the bubble on 10 years worth of supporting something that was so easy to prove otherwise, or so easy to see was not the leaning of which they supported. So it's not necessarily delusional, but then you think like, wow, if I am supporting something, or if I am connecting to something that's so off, am I unwittingly kind of propping up a sort of mass delusion? And that really is the big question here with Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces, is individual units that aren't necessarily unwell or delusional, but just aren't perhaps particular, or aren't really independent enough to seek their own truth. Therefore, what you do have is a macro type of delusion, or a mass level kind of just like confusion, okay? So that's what really I think is the problem area during this time, and that's why we've kind of come into this astrological time where we have these super potent Scorpio eclipses. We have Saturn-Uranus square also making a T-square, especially at the November 8th eclipse. with the Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius, Saturn, Uranus, and Sun, Moon, of course. And that is like a major popping. That is a major shift, and it's not all necessarily going to be good, but all we can really do is work individually at the end of the day, and we can see truths for ourselves, and we can and I'm really speaking interpersonally here, because I feel that this is more so playing out for a lot of people at an interpersonal like person-to-person relationship level, and you get this sort of like person-to-person communication effect that creates a larger status, and these larger statuses are kind of worrisome during this time. And for those of you who've been working for a long time to like sharpen up your life and to get healthier and to make changes in who and what you're engaging with and whether it's worth your time or not, there's going to be such a laser focus come in here. And this can last a long time. Okay, I'm talking like years, or even like for a lifetime, as long as you're willing to kind of upkeep this and maintain this. It's like laser focus, getting straight to the heart of things, like eagle vision type of dynamic that these eclipses can have, especially if these eclipses hit something in your own chart. It can actually take away a lifetime of confusion, or even like lifelong secrets or things that you haven't known but have like been involved with for a long time, like the true goal of like the company you work for that you are like a moving part in, but you don't even know what its like a goal is, but you're contributing to it. Or even at a smaller level, like in families, like not knowing about like a family secret, or not knowing about things, but nonetheless being a part of it, or being a wheel or a cog in it and generating a larger result. That dynamic, if you want, changes here with these eclipses, and you can now have like a eagle vision into it, an X-ray vision, because that's what Scorpio rules over. We're in Scorpio season, of course, here, and we're having eclipses in Scorpio, South Node in Scorpio, and all of the outer planets really are hitting Scorpio in a strong way. We have Pluto sextile from Capricorn. We have Jupiter and Neptune trine from Pisces. And then, of course, we have the T-square element from Saturn and Uranus, and the personal planets moving through. So it's a very connective throughout the entire solar system, a very connective time regarding getting to the root of something, getting to the center point, laser-focused eagle vision, X-ray vision aspect of a dynamic or issue or construct in your life. And I think it's what we've all really needed. For some people, this is very scary stuff, okay? Some people who are more not people who want to make decisions, or not people who want to be the person who bears the crux of, bears the cross of knowledge, because it can be a hard one to bear sometimes. This can be a very difficult time, and it can actually be like psychically overwhelming for some people to like just know this truth, or to just know that this is what things have come to, or, also, okay, random download. This will be hard for some people, but it's important to come out. Knowing that a certain means of well-being, or a certain source of energy has completely exhausted as well. So a certain source of income, a certain business, a certain also like relationship that was a source of happiness or fun or enjoyment, exhausted, like a core of an apple, like done, nothing else to get from it. And then we face these harder decisions, and this could, that's a strong one coming up right now with these eclipses, because of course we have the very strong death archetype, right, with the Scorpio energy, and I was talking even as far back in September. Even at the end of August, I was talking about how strong the death archetype was going to be, the archetype of endings for the rest of 2022, more than I had ever seen during my coming 7-year tenure doing this work. Almost a quarter return of Saturn, I've been doing this work. I think it's like 6.5 years now. But anyway, I'm excited for getting to that 7-year point. But I've never seen such a strong energy of endings. And it's also because having Jupiter and Neptune moving towards those being in those last decans of Pisces, and then having Scorpio eclipses, and having, even Pluto at the end of Capricorn. We have so much happening in third decan signs. So it's, and also in later mature signs, Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces, Aquarius. So this is such an elderly kind of mature and collective, visible, publicly visible energy that we're in systemically, holistically, as an entire solar system. And that's going to have a certain meaning. And, you know, if you're someone who has those types of placements in your chart, like you've got a lot of Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces energy in those later degrees, like you know how to function with this. Like there'll be a kind of natural muscle memory about how to work with this kind of advanced, mature energy. But, you know, for the younger zodiac signs, I think it's hard. You know, we have Mars moving through Gemini, which is contradicting it all. Okay, it's going to give a toddler kind of feeling or adolescent feeling to a major elderly context. Okay, so that's going to throw things off, and it won't be until we get into the new year and into all planets direct, and that moves on into Cancer, will we really get the true complete felt finality, you know, looking towards Pisces season of 2023. Also it's a very edgy period of time for any type of erratic tendencies. Okay, so this period of time from Scorpio season until Pisces season, you know, if you have a tendency, or if you know anyone who has a tendency to struggle with their mental well-being, to struggle with even physical health, like any type of health problems, okay, you have to be very much thought about every day. And I think that you really have to institute things that you know help your health do well, whether this is physical, mental, whatever. Okay, so therapy, right? Knowing your triggers, knowing the type of therapy that you need, knowing the type of diet, the type of sleep regimen. Like this is edgy time here. And there will likely be people who are pushed over the edge, or you may see people who you never thought would like be so crazy, really stepping into that territory because it might have been needing to boil over. There's that feeling of like the frog boiling, you know. So we have these long-term momentums that finally reach their highest temperature, that finally reach their most potent, poignant, intense levels, okay, from Scorpio to Sag season. And I think as long as you're someone who can see the guarantees that loss or pain bring of new beginnings and new possibilities and more empty space, I think that you will do fine with this period of time. And I think that it will be very empowering, actually, to know that there are different ways coming in, or completely new lifestyles and completely new ways of being that are definitely coming soon in 2023. But yes, as for just a few positive things also that are coming in, especially once we hit Sag season, I think that a lot of Scorpio season is going to be kind of like pressurized, and it just depends on your personality type and how you work with pressure, or how you work with endings. You know, for some people it's much more joyful than others. But as Sag season comes through, I think that it's going to get a really incredible feeling. I think there's going to be this feeling of success for most people, and a feeling of even through messing up, or even through some type of difficulty, like really knowing knowing security in a different way, or feeling secure in the knowledge of how things will change, or how things can be different, and then also how you don't have to have certain problems anymore. There's a lot of people as we hit Sag season who just will never have a certain pain anymore, or will never have a certain degree of poverty, or even like a feeling of imposter syndrome, like things that are kind of like, I don't know, have been nagging at people for a long time. Like, how do I make this income? You know, how do I fit into this group? How do I, you know, do I return to this or that? I think there are a lot of those kinds of edgy feelings that will be over by the time Sag season comes and goes all the way through the end of December. So anyway, everyone, let's talk about just the astrology. I talked a long time about intuitive messages. I'm just going to write down this timestamp real quick. So yes, I'm going to pull up both of the charts. You should be able to see both of them for November 1st and November 30th on the screen. So let's talk about the beginning of the month, and then compare the charts. So as we enter the month, we have, of course, a Scorpio stellium, Mercury, Sun, Venus, and the South Node in Scorpio, spanning through the first and beginning of the second decan. So we have a brand new transformation coming at the beginning of the month. We have a totally new way, and we have also the allure of a new way. Again, this is variable among people. Some people are experiencing the change now, and then other people are seeing the promise of change or the horizon of change. Again, if it were later decan Scorpio, as it will be later in the month, it would feel more like, you know, the change had already happened and we were adjusting to that. With the Sun-Mercury conjunction in Scorpio, again, the mental clarity, the mental sharpness is really an area of evolution and change here. We need to really work with sharpening up the mind. So whatever you can do to do that, for some people it's supplements, for some people it's sleep cycles, studying more, Rubik's Cube, I don't know, something that sharpens up the mind is going to be very, very positive. Also, I'm seeing kind of again, a blind spot or a dark spot for some people here. So we are definitely working with the individual dark side and the shadow side here in the beginning of Scorpio season especially. This is just a raw channeling coming through. You want to really see antagonism in your own life. Do you have like antagonists in your experience? Have you been antagonized by another person? Scorpio can be an antagonizing or antagonist energy when it's in its more difficult expression. So we want to see any of that as well. And then we want to see a greater motivation towards peace, but there is maybe again, a climax or a final point, an apex point of dealing with antagonists in your own experience, or also the energy of battle, or the energy of being opposed to someone or against someone. With the South Node, Venus, Sun, and Mercury in Scorpio, is something that stretches back further than you. So if you have a confusing amount of conflict in your life, try to understand it might not even be personal, or it might not even be about you. It's about some type of longer running momentum with the South Node there. So even like generations past, or even something to do with the geography or the terrain that you're on, or like the country that you're in, or whatever it is, might be more of what these conflicts are about than your own personal involvement. So then there is that bigger question of, where am I? Is this where I want to be? Are these the type of relationships I want to cultivate? And very likely a larger period of time, even like a year-long period of maybe redistributing or relocating, okay? You know, choosing a different type of surrounding, okay? Also at the beginning of the month, of course, yes, we have Mars having gone retrograde in Gemini. That really conflicts with the Scorpio energy. It also conflicts with the Pisces energy and the Capricorn energy. Okay, in fact, we have an exact quincunx between Pluto and Mars in the beginning of the month. So there is oh gosh, this is hard. It's like collateral damage. It's like choosing a battle with someone who's not even related to the situation. It's sloppiness. It's loss of control. It's adolescent mind meets sophisticated ancient wisdom. It's a very difficult quincunx there, especially if you have that hitting your chart. To me, that also looks like, I don't know, emotional volatility, or even just plain neurosis or something there with the Mars quincunx Pluto. So we have to maybe understand that we'll see that. People are at a breaking point, okay? With the quincunx to Scorpio and Capricorn, of course, that will be making a yod to Mars, won't it, eventually in time? We'll see later on in the month, or I might make a video about that if that comes up. But that energy is coming through where it's like some people are going to hit a breaking point, or a bubble will pop. There could be a major economic crash, or just major volatility one way or another during this month. Oh gosh, and so yes, we still have the Saturn-Uranus square majorly in at the beginning of the month. Saturn at 18 degrees Aquarius, Uranus at 17 degrees Taurus in retrograde, moving back towards the node, the North Node in Taurus. So that's going to be rippling, you know, that feeling of square peg in a round hole, grinding, not being able to make a decision one way or another. A lot of conflicting information is still in November. Things that don't make sense, the energy of gridlock, also not being able to reach a resolution, but ultimately, because of that friction, gaining the inevitable resolution as well. Of course, Jupiter has just moved back into Pisces. It did at the end of October, which is going to bring back in that feeling of ultimate cause, and that feeling of what am I putting my energy to, and is my effort in conjunction with my dream, okay? So we see like, mismatching effort. Okay, so things that actually go against your long-term momentum or things that go against your dream, and then there's a need to fix that up. We have, I think this is like the third time that Jupiter is retrograded on that cusp, so we're getting like opportunity after opportunity to rethink how we're doing long-term momentum, to rethink how we're connecting to our own sense of cause as well. Anything else I want to talk about the beginning of the month? I don't think so. So at the end of the month, we have, by the end of November, of course, we have moved into Sagittarius season, and that looks a lot better to me. Okay, that looks a lot nicer. The Saturn-Uranus square has completely broken up by the end of the month, thank God. Oh my God, Saturn at 19 degrees, Uranus at 16 degrees. So when we're talking outer planets, we like to see a 1-degree orb to really say an angle is in. So by that point in time, there's a 3-degree orb, unlike the 1-degree orb that is there at the beginning of the month. So PSA, the Saturn-Uranus square has broken up by the end of November. Also, that quincunx is out too, and that will form back up. So the Mars-Pluto quincunx is out by degrees by the end of November. But of course, when it goes direct, it will pass back over that probably at like the end of December or beginning of January. I'm not sure exactly when that will be, but that's also out, thankfully. And then we just have a really nice positive Sagittarius triple conjunction. We do have a debilitation of Mercury in Sagittarius, which means lack of precision or miscommunication or even attention deficit, okay, with Mercury in Sagittarius. But that's still a lot more mild, I feel, than even the Scorpio stellium of Sun, Mercury, Venus, and South Node at the beginning of the month, because, again, Venus is debilitated in Scorpio. So we have Mercury and Venus both passing through their debilitations in the month of November. So relationships could be difficult. Also, being attentive, being focused on something could be difficult. There could be a lot of distractions in November. But again, by the end of the month, it's a lot nicer. It's a lot less difficult. And it's warmer. Okay, it's a warmer energy by the end of the month. It's more forgiving. It's more jovial, okay, as we hit Sagittarius season by the end of November. Also, check out that Pisces stellium. Okay, so we've got Jupiter, Neptune, the moon, and I believe that's the asteroid of Nessus in Pisces. But Jupiter and Neptune are moving closer together here, but that's as close as they're going to get, because it appears that Jupiter is actually stationing direct by the end of the month, so it's not going to go further back. And then also Neptune is retrograde, so it's continuing to move back. So that's as close as we're going to get to another Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, 22 degrees of Neptune and 28 degrees of Jupiter in Pisces. It's not very close, so it's not going to move into exact place. So it's going to be a very light, lingering feeling of what I was talking about with dreams and cause and personal emotional motivation. That's not going to really come to a climax, I don't think. It's just going to kind of linger, and it's going to kind of be like a reminder of, okay, here's your dream, here's your cause. Do you want to connect with that here, or are you moving away from that? Like, where are you trying to get is the big question with Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces. What's the moral of the story? What is, like, the elder wisdom here? And, with the South Node in Scorpio, Pluto in Capricorn. Even Saturn getting later in Aquarius, it's also stationed direct and move direct. That's the overarching feeling to me of this general time period, is like elder wisdom, ancient knowledge, and trying to filter that through young souls or young energy, okay, with Mars and Gemini. So that is and then also Chiron and Aries as well. Chiron and Mars really detract from the greater overall ancient picture that's being painted here. And both of those energies, Chiron and Mars, both of those planets are more so connecting to a much more youthful kind of, gosh, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like much more young and unconcerned with the ancient knowledge, unconcerned with the wisdom of the elder, and it wants to figure things out itself. Chiron and Mars both. In a semi-mutual reception. I mean, I don't think that Chiron is the ruler of Gemini, but it is connected to the Gemini energy. And then, of course, Mars is the ruler of Aries. So I wouldn't call it mutual reception, but they're connecting in an interesting way and moving to connect more together. So we have this wounded masculine energy, Chiron and Mars connection. We have this feeling of I want to do everything myself. I want complete independence, and being ultimately perhaps wounded with Chiron advancing in Aries like that by the need for independence or by the need to figure things out oneself, to do everything oneself. We have to reinvent the wheel. We have to receive all of these difficulties that we may have never even had to touch had we been more inclined to work as a team or to work with people who've already been through what we're going through. So that's the hard point of this period of time, is like all of this incredible ancient wisdom that is here and so accessible, yet at the same time the want to, you know, go through the school of hard knocks despite already knowing better or despite already having what you need. Okay, you know, where the person like has everything they need in their holdings, but nonetheless they pursue like self-employment. Okay, that's a very common energy line right here, where someone has like a great offer from an incredible group team of people to come aboard, but nonetheless they go their own way. It's like the energy of a free radical here, which is a Cancerian type of energy as well. It's like one cell splitting off, or it's there is a good aspect to it, because the negative with the Jupiter, Neptune, and some of these other energies is also like cult-like mentality, blind following. So maybe it's an important thing that's also happening where you have detractors, or you have people who are splitting off and going their own direction. But to me, that was much more timely in like 2017 and back in those years, and to just be stepping into that like cult of self-empowerment, cult of independence now in 2022, it would seem myopic, and it would seem entirely too personal, because again, all of the outer planets are in more collective ancient signs. All of them are. Okay, I mean, Uranus stands out, but the way that it's connecting through the nodal axis right now pulls it more into an ancient energy for itself. And then of course, Uranus aside, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune are all in very ancient energies, so it definitely outweighs the need for independence here, or the need for, I don't want to call it independence, because to me independence is such a positive word. I love the energy of independence. I'm quite an independent person myself, but I need to think of a different word. It's more like fragmentation, or being fragmented off from the whole, or being fragmented off from, in some cases, quite good collectives. But this is it depends on the individual, of course. So just try to make sure that you're not losing things, or purposefully breaking off of things which are like positive in your life. And I think that that's maybe the best thing that we can also learn how to do, is how to be independent without fragmenting like important relationships, or people who matter in our lives, or causes that matter in our lives. That balance is going to be very important coming out of November. But yes, again, as I'm comparing these charts for the 1st and the 30th of November, kind of like it's been this way in September and October, where I like the ending chart more than I like the beginning chart. So to me, that says an incremental progression happening in that greater timeline from like September until December of 2022, because it's kind of just getting constantly better and better and better. So whatever you can do in your own experience to reinforce that, like, okay, I'm getting closer and closer and closer to this next base camp. I'm like coming into better regions, or better places, bit by bit, step by step. I think that that's really positive, because the energy at the beginning of November is quite difficult unless you have a super sharp, focused and mind alongside some degree of power over your own experience. Otherwise, it's very hard in the beginning of November. And then by the end of November, it's much warmer, and it is funnier. Like, there's more humor coming in by the end of the month. I like that Jupiter and late Pisces alongside the Sagittarius energy coming up alongside it. And then as we move through December, I think that's going to be a very abundant, jovial, humorous, and abundant time, especially again for these sharp people coming through right now. This is going to be a time of festivities also coming up here, which is interesting. Kind of carnival festival energy coming up with Mars and Gemini, Jupiter and Pisces, Sagittarius season. That's really nice. Even Saturn in Aquarius and Chiron in Aries work well with these. Okay, so things are going to really click in, especially into December. That's not so much a November thing. That's more of a December thing. where things are going to really click into place. And I think we have an entirely new spectrum of possibility, joy, and festivity coming in. So the holiday season this year could be really nice for many people, and there's a big level up, a big clarity point as it relates to humor and well-being and abundance and just natural well-being coming through. So anyway, everyone, yes, it's going to be a wonderful holiday season on this channel as well. I'm going to be making a lot of content about the year of 2023. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button below and turn on those bell notifications to get notified and informed about what's going on. I also have a mailing list below, which I plan to work with more in the new year. But that's a great way to keep up to date with this channel without relying on the social media algorithms. And yes, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, check out my merch line that's below. That's a great way to support this channel. Patreon is also really the best way to support this channel. And there's just a lot of info in the description box. I hope you all have a wonderful month of November. Thank you so much for all of your kind love and support recently. That has meant so much to me. I have a video where I made a personal update also on my channel as I had some delays. So check that out if you're curious, and have a beautiful, beautiful month ahead. I love this season. Much love. Bye.